In the complex world of international relations, nations constantly interact. They make decisions with far-reaching consequences. Game theory helps us understand these interactions. It's a framework for analyzing strategic decision-making. It shows how actors behave when outcomes depend on others. Game theory has real-world applications in economics, political science, and international relations. It explains why nations cooperate or compete. Think of it like a game of chess. Each player anticipates moves to achieve objectives. Nations must strategize based on potential actions of others. This interplay is at the heart of game theory. To grasp the essence of game theory, we need to familiarize ourselves with its fundamental elements. First, we have the players. These are typically nation-states, international organizations, or non-state actors. Second, each player has a set of available strategies. These are the different courses of action they can choose from. Finally, we have payoffs. These represent the outcomes of different strategies. Game theory provides a framework for analyzing strategic behavior. One of the most famous examples in game theory is the prisoner's dilemma. This scenario illustrates the challenges of cooperation, even when it would be in the best interest of all parties involved. Imagine two suspects arrested for a crime. They are held in separate cells, unable to communicate with each other. The police offer each suspect a deal. Confess to the crime and implicate your partner, and you'll receive a reduced sentence. If both suspects remain silent, they will each receive a light sentence. If both confess, they will both receive a moderate sentence. The best outcome for both is to cooperate and stay silent. However, each suspect, acting rationally in their self-interest, will choose to confess. Why? Because if their partner stays silent, confessing leads to a reduced sentence. If their partner confesses, confessing at least avoids the worst possible outcome. This leads to a suboptimal outcome where both suspects confess and receive a moderate sentence. The prisoner's dilemma has profound implications for international relations. It highlights the difficulties nations face in cooperating, even when it would be mutually beneficial. The fear of being exploited by the other side often leads to distrust and a reluctance to cooperate. The Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union provides a compelling real-world example of game theory in action. Both superpowers possessed nuclear weapons, creating a terrifying situation known as mutually assured destruction, MAD. In this scenario, an attack by one side would inevitably lead to retaliation by the other, resulting in the annihilation of both. The Cold War can be analyzed as a game of chicken, where two drivers speed towards each other head-on. The first driver to swerve loses face, while continuing straight risks a catastrophic collision. Similarly, the US and USSR had to balance the risks of appearing weak against the potentially apocalyptic consequences of nuclear war. Game theory suggests that in such situations, establishing credible threats is crucial. By convincing the other side that they will retaliate if attacked, a nation can deter aggression. Throughout the Cold War, both superpowers engaged in arms races, military buildups, and proxy wars to enhance their credibility and deter the other from launching a first strike. Trade negotiations, cooperation, and competition. Game theory also helps us understand the complex dynamics of international trade negotiations. Countries often face a choice between pursuing protectionist policies that benefit their domestic industries in the short term or engaging in free trade agreements that can lead to long-term economic growth for all parties involved. This situation can be analyzed as a game of Stag Hunt. In this game, hunters can cooperate to catch a stag, which would provide a large feast for all. However, each hunter has the option to defect and hunt a rabbit instead, which would provide a smaller but guaranteed meal. If even one hunter defects, the stag escapes, and everyone else goes hungry. In trade negotiations, the stag represents the benefits of free trade, while the rabbits represent the short-term gains from protectionism. Each country must decide whether to trust its trading partners to cooperate or to protect its interests, risking a breakdown in negotiations and a less desirable outcome for everyone. Game theory and modern diplomacy. Game theory continues to be a valuable tool for understanding international relations in the 21st century. Diplomats and policymakers use game theory models to analyze complex situations, predict the behavior of other actors, and develop effective strategies. For example, game theory has been used to study issues such as climate change negotiations. How can countries be incentivized to reduce their carbon emissions and cooperate on global climate agreements? Cybersecurity threats. How can nations deter cyber attacks and develop international norms for cyberspace? Terrorism. How can governments effectively combat terrorism and address the root causes of extremism? By applying the principles of game theory, policymakers can make more informed decisions and navigate the complexities of international relations in an increasingly interconnected world. Limitations of game theory. While game theory is a powerful tool for understanding international relations, it is not without limitations. One criticism is that it relies on simplifying assumptions about rationality. Real-world decision-making is often influenced by emotions, misperceptions, and domestic political considerations that game theory models may not fully capture. Moreover, game theory often assumes that actors have complete information about the preferences and capabilities of other actors. In reality, information is often incomplete or unreliable, adding another layer of complexity to international interactions. Despite these limitations, game theory remains a valuable analytical framework. By recognizing its limitations and using it in conjunction with other approaches, we can gain a more nuanced and sophisticated understanding of global politics. Conclusion: a valuable tool for understanding global politics. Game theory provides a powerful lens through which to view the complexities of international relations. By understanding the basic concepts of game theory, we can analyze strategic interactions between nations, predict their behavior, and understand the challenges and opportunities of cooperation in a competitive world. While game theory has its limitations, it remains an essential tool for students, analysts, and policymakers seeking to navigate the intricacies of global politics. By applying the principles of game theory, we can strive for a more peaceful, prosperous, and cooperative international order. Coming up with more interesting topics, keep watching until next time, goodbye.